Right. So a few things, you guys, just some housekeeping items as we're waiting for people to kind of jump on. So for these webinars, look, COVID has, taught me how to use these webinars, and I'm still trying to, figure them out to a degree. But for some housekeeping items, we're going to kind of keep everyone except for the speakers muted. And one of the things is we're going to encourage you to use that chat box. So down at the bottom of your screen where it says chat, if you want to go ahead and utilize that, if you've got any questions throughout, either for myself or for Andrew, that's a good place. So for those of you guys tuning in, I know that maybe you guys have done these. I'm seeing a lot of familiar faces, seeing some new faces or names. Look, we have been doing these webinars all throughout COVID, and usually we meet in person, but obviously COVID has changed that. Look, send some love to your event people, the people in your life who put events on, because none of us know what the heck is going on. Like, seriously, none of us know what the heck is going on. So for those of you who are new, so my name's Courtney Fricky, and this is a webinar put on by Northshore REIA. REIA stands for Real Estate Investors Association. And so one of the things is, obviously in the COVID era, we're not getting to meet in person, but I'm actually glad, because then I can bring people on, like my friend Andrew, and we're not having to rely on people who are directly in this area. And so for a lot of you guys who are from the area, before COVID, we were doing 2 to 3 meetings a month here in the New Orleans area. The last meetings, our main meetings in the beginning of the year, we're hitting, 100 people each time. And to be honest, I get a text message, I get a email, a Facebook message, or, what have you, saying, hey, when are we going to start doing in person? To be honest, I'm trying to figure out what that looks like, between size, between location, regulation, all those things. So bear with us, all right? So whether you are local to the New Orleans area, or because these are free and this is something that we do frequently, and maybe you're from a different area in the US, or even I know people who have tuned in from outside of it, regardless, maybe there's a real estate meetup in your area, and maybe they're facing the same thing that I am, where we kind of just don't know. So bear with us. Know this. So obviously we're going to continue with these webinars. And so tonight Angela will be sharing, but I've got a few that I'm just waiting to get on the calendar. And once I get them on the calendar, then we're going to, I'll get those webinars lined up, and then you guys can attend them. All of these are recorded, and they're put on to our YouTube channel. So you can always go binge watch if you are quarantined and not knowing what to do, okay? You're more than welcome to check these out. Check out our YouTube page. I started videoing and really recording these probably about 1.5 years ago. So there's a good bit of content on there from a variety of speakers. And so those are, free resources for you guys. So a few other things. One of the things I'm starting to, if you're local to the New Orleans area, I am looking to start doing some dinners to network. Now, obviously we can't go crazy like when we have 100 people at our meetings, but like maybe we could do dinner to network. Cause I know, check on your extrovert friends, you guys, we're not doing all right. Like we need some networking. And so what I think I might do is I might say, hey, we're gonna do a pop-up dinner next Tuesday at this restaurant. And say we're gonna cut it off at 20 people. And I don't know. I'm just trying to throw out some ideas here. So if you're local to the New Orleans area, those are some things that are in the works. So we're gonna have some more webinars. I have a handful that have been circling the drain as far as trying to get them on the calendar, that I'm hoping we can lock in and put them on the calendar. And then potentially these, limited networking events, and just, even if I do them every other week or once a month, I know that it'll be good to get some networking in person in. So those are kind of my plans right now. So for those of you who are tuning in, and if you're new to Northshore Real Estate Investors Association, what I'll do is while Andrew's chatting, I'll put some stuff in the chat box. We're going to keep you guys muted just to kind of control some of what this all turns into. A lot of times when we get people going, we'll kind of keep people muted. But if you've got questions or if you've got something, if you see at the bottom of your screen where it says chat, you're more than welcome to put some questions in there, either for myself or for Andrew. And one of those things is our goal here is we want to help raise the tide of education for those in the real estate investing industry, real estate industry in general. And so this is all free. We have some local sponsors that help with Northshore REIA, and I know I've been, kind of keeping in touch. I see we've got two of them on here tonight. We've got Mia Rogers, who I was talking with earlier. She had a closing. She is an investor, but she's also a realtor in Louisiana and in Mississippi. And glad to see that you were able to make it on, Mia. I know you said you had some showings, and then you had that closing earlier. And then we've got Bob Norton, which for any of you guys, Bob Norton, Bob, I consider you a good, solid part of my team as a real estate specific CPA. And you know what's really relieving? When I attend the same seminars as my CPA. So he's not only a real estate specific CPA, but he is a broker and he is an investor himself. Look, when I've got off market deals, when I have my CPA coming to look at them for himself, those are good signs. Because trust me, that was not happening before I found him, like, I don't know, 2 years ago? And so that's Bob Norton. We've got a few others. We've got the Fleur de Lis Title Company. They've been killing it. And then we've got Christina Rusca, which I'm telling you guys, if you haven't refied, Paul, my business partner, Paul, and I were talking about this earlier. If you guys haven't refinanced either your investment properties or your own primary property, now is the time to do it, because I don't think we're going to have these rates forever. So Christina Rusca, she's a lender with Loan Depot. We've got Wayne Sanji and associates, Wayne Sanji and them, they're property managers on the North and South Shore. And look, I've been keeping in touch with them during this time. I said, hey, what are you seeing with evictions? What are you seeing? Here's their biggest tip that they said. So if you're a landlord out there, one of their biggest tips is what they're doing, and they're shifting their focuses. It's not on, they're doing business as usual, but they're making sure they know exactly where their new tenants are coming from. Because right now they're trying to figure out, is this someone who, really needs a new place really, really quick because they've been, recently kicked out of somewhere. And so finding out where those new people are coming from is huge. Let's see, we've got Total Construction and Renovation. He's an investor, he's a flipper, and he is a contractor. Ryan Curtin, he's great. We also have Quest IRA, Quest Trust. They've been killing it with the education during COVID. They're doing a ton of stuff on Facebook. If you don't follow them on Facebook and you want to learn about tools for your private lenders or for retirement accounts. And then we've got Justin Harris, who is a land wholesaler. And I don't know if Justin's on here. I know he signed up for it. I know Justin, if any of you guys are trying to figure out what it looks like with land, whether it's wholesaling it, flipping it, things along those lines. But few last little items here. So hope you guys are doing well during COVID, and especially those of you guys here in Louisiana. If you guys, for those of you who haven't heard, Paul, my business partner, Paul LaGrange, he has been on WWL, which is one of the largest, if not the largest radio station here in our region, since Hurricane Katrina. Right after Katrina, the radio station came to him and said, hey, Paul, people are trying to rebuild, we need help, which started the Home Improvement Show, which is a call-in show. And I had the privilege in the beginning of this year to start joining him. So for past many months, I've been on the radio with him every Saturday talking about real estate. So if you guys are, out driving or whatever, if you're local, you can tune into 870 or 105.3. You can always listen to it on the app. But this Saturday, I wanted to bring up one of the topics that I'm going to talk about this Saturday. I usually give a tip of the week, and you guys can, listen to the tip of the week, and the rest of it's kind of call in and text in. So we kind of stay on our toes with all that. But for those of you interested in the Louisiana tax sale auction, I'm talking property taxes and what happens when, from an investor's point of view, what does that auction look like? What does that process look like for Louisiana? So I'm going to dive into that this Saturday. So from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., if you guys want to tune in, you can always just, if you're friends with me on Facebook or anything like that, you can always see all the ways you can tune in. But I wanted to point that out because I know a lot of you guys are potentially curious about what does those tax sale auctions look like. And so I'm going to dive into those. The other thing is Paul and I have been doing a lot in Lake Charles since Hurricane Laura hit. We're going on our third trip to deliver supplies. And so I know I've been getting a handful of texts and messages about this. So I'm going to put it in the chat because I'm going to stop talking in a little bit and let Andrew take the reins. But I'm going to put in the chat. We have an Amazon wish list of items that, we know that people are specifically asking for. This is a very unique hurricane. Down here, we're used to hurricanes. This is a very unique recovery because it's during COVID era and it's also during an economically hard time. So with that in mind, I'm going to put that down in the chat section. If any of you guys are business owners in the area and you want to collaborate with us, Paul and I have been working with some other business owners. We had, Level Homes, a major production builder, cut us a check and we filled our truck up with supplies. We've got a salon owner who's collecting items and we're going to be the person, we're going to go and deliver it for them. So if you guys ever want to collaborate, maybe you can collect items and we'll make sure it gets, we've been partnering up with like property managers over in Lake Charles because look, renters aren't going to be able to, to do FEMA or insurance a lot of the times. So anyway, I just want to put that out there. If any of you guys would want to collaborate, there's always definitely room where we can put more supplies, or we can take another trip to fill the truck and deliver these supplies. So, all right, without further ado, you guys, I want to bring on my good friend Andrew. Andrew, I don't know, 2 years we've known each other, something like that. I don't know. It's something along those lines. Andrew and I are part of the same mastermind as well as a mentorship program with the good old guys in Mississippi that I've brought to Northshore REIA to talk a time or two. And Andrew's killing it right now in the real estate investing world. And I want you to come in and share a little bit about, who you are, what market you're in, and then and kind of what are you doing right now?
Sure, absolutely. First off, thank you for having me, Courtney. Super pumped to be here. So who am I? I'm Andrew McClam. I'm 26 years old. I'm down in Columbia, South Carolina, which is my hometown. I have 3 different businesses going, all just under the real estate bubble. Bowen Capital. My middle name is Bowen, if you're wondering where the heck that came from. Bowen Capital is a wholesale business. That's my primary business. We do about 2 to 4 deals a month. Wholesale, Bowen Capital Homes is the flipping business. I typically just pick out maybe 2 deals a year that are just too good to wholesale, take those down, flip them. And then I have a business with my brothers called Palmetto Investment Trust, and we buy rentals together. But primarily, I would say my biggest, success so far has been really developing a very simple referral-based business where my monthly marketing spend is only about $550 a month. And we'll kind of dive into that a little more.
That's huge. Look, at the height of our highest marketing budget this year with my company has been probably around $7,000 a month. So being at 550 that's huge, dude. Like, nice. and look, when COVID hit, we started leaning out, like, cause we're like, okay, we need to get lean because you don't know what it's going to look like. Right.
Exactly.
So tell us this, have you kind of always operated from that, or did you operate did you spend a lot in marketing and then start realizing, hey, like, what did that look like? Was it from the beginning, or did you learn along the way?
Great question. My original marketing budget was $250 a month. It was nothing. I was doing bandit signs. I was driving for dollars. I was cold calling. And that was kind of my upbringing. I really got to learn the hard way how to just really throw myself to the wolves and get really uncomfortable by doing that and having to hustle. After that, I had done a few deals. I got a little bold. Everybody always talks about hiring all these virtual assistants, right, in the Philippines and elsewhere. So I brought on 3 Filipino cold callers, and it was bad. The first 2 months or so, it went pretty well. I'd say I maybe got 6 deals from it, which really isn't that bad for what I was paying. But my marketing spend increased 10 times. I was spending $2,500 a month. And I wasn't really keeping track of my numbers, and I wasn't looking at where my deals were coming from. And actually at the mastermind Courtney alluded to, I was challenged to produce my KPIs, which are your key performance indicators, kind of showing, how much, what's your cost per deal, cost per lead, stuff like that. And so I really deep dove all the deals I had done. I had done 9 deals in Q4 of last year for around 67,000. And I realized every single one of them had come from a referral. I didn't get a single deal from these 3 Filipinos. And it was really more so me that I kind of just took the foot off the gas as far as managing them. I really just wanted them to kind of operate. And so I really nipped that in the bud really fast. And one of the things I want to talk about with you guys is just really figuring out what you want from this business. That's why we start our own businesses, is to build a life that suits you. And I had really overcomplicated it. So, I challenge you guys and, focus on keeping it simple. That's where I scaled back and just shifted some things to where it made a lot more sense. As far as like my business structure now and what I'm doing, I have 2 local cold callers that work Monday through Thursday, 3 hours a day. They are on a dialing system called Mojo, which allows them to call 3 numbers at one time. Typically, during that 3 hours with the 2 guys, we can hit around 750 calls, which is pretty solid. They're very well trained. We have a Monday meeting where we do some type of training, Zoom call. I'll have them to the office, 1 or 2 days a week. So it's really freed up a lot of my time. And, they're young, hungry, 22-year-old kids that, I'm paying them commission only. So
are these your interns or no?
These are, I've upgraded them. They're kind of my lead generation experts. I haven't really named them yet. But so the big thing about commission only is my buyer pays them. I don't really pay them. The only thing I really have to pay, out of my pocket is for the dialing system and the data to pull the list and get it skip traced to give them something to call. So that eliminates a lot of my overhead right there. They don't get paid unless they go out and get a deal, right? On top of that, I ended up getting really lucky and inherited a flipper's website who was getting out of the game. And he called me one day. I've sold him three, 4 deals, something like that, and was always very upfront and honest with the guy. And he called me up, and he's bought a bunch of storage facilities, and just like, hey man, my passive income's at this, my stress level's at this. I'm getting out of the flip game because it's 80% of my stress. And so he gave me his website. So I have some SEO, everything going now, paying for that. But I mean, other than that, guys, it's kind of like what Courtney's done. She's done a really good job of becoming an authority in her market. And I've been able to do that in Columbia. And that's what I'm going to kind of share with you guys as we go. But, for me, it really just started with telling everyone what I do. I get a lot of referrals from friends, family, new wholesalers, agents, property management companies. I'd say on average, I get about 5 to 7 referrals a week from just outside people. So I'll share some secrets with that, but I felt like it would be a good idea for me to kind of give you my business structure somewhat, for sure.
All right. Well, I want to hear what you have to say about that. I want to hear you unpack that. I know I've heard you share about it, man. So now that they've got a little bit of an idea of who you are, what you do, break into that for us. And if you guys have any questions, if you look down in the chat box down at the bottom, type in any questions you may have, because what we'll do is I'll have him share what he's kind of planned to share with you guys. And then what we want to do is we want to kind of dissect it. I want to open it up for some questions. So if you've got any of them, type them down in that chat box down below. And let's go, man. I want to hear this.
Let's do it.
I know I've heard you share about this before, but I want to hear kind of what got you started in doing this.
Yep.
What got you started in doing these referrals and looking for these referrals?
Absolutely. I mean, I say I'd like to even bring it back to the beginning, because it kind of ties in. You know, I was working a corporate job in Charleston, South Carolina, great town. I don't know why the heck I moved from there. But, you know, I was doing really well. You know, at 24, I was on pace to make over 200 grand, you know, and most people in that situation would be feeling pretty good. But for me, I realized that it wasn't all about the money. It was about my stress level, and, you know, having somebody else being able to control my stress was really affecting my life. And I'm very lucky at that age to be able to realize that. So I quit my job. I really loved to surf, and I saved up a good bit of money, probably $60,000. And I moved to Bali, Indonesia for 6 months. I just totally left. I didn't know anything about real estate, nothing. Had never heard of wholesaling. I got a surfboard up there. That's my baby up there. But anyway, I just took off, brought the girlfriend, and we left, and, you know, had an awesome trip, you know, hit probably 12 different countries, proposed to her on top of Mount Fuji at sunrise. And I have 2 brothers, like I said, so I set the bar pretty high for the family as far as the proposal goes. They're really happy about that with their current girlfriends. But yeah, guys, you know, 3 months in, kind of myself, all right, Andrew, it's time to figure out what you want to do with your life a little bit. And, you know, at that point, I was ready to make 30 grand a year working for myself rather than 200. So keep that in mind. It's not all about the money, you know, at least for me at that time. So I get lucky about 3 months in, and I type in on Google how to flip houses with no money. And I found wholesaling and just dove in so hard, because I really realized it was purely sales. And the first referral tip I will give you, I think I was a month into studying, and I had joined a few different Facebook REIA groups, right? And for some odd reason, I just went in and added every single person in the groups as my friend on Facebook. It took me like 6 hours. I don't know why I did it, but I did it. Okay, so now I have 2,000 friends that are investors, wholesalers, agents, lenders, all these different people. And I came back home and started, you know, kind of grassroots, doing it by myself, just basic marketing, cold calling, driving for dollars. This is prior to joining the mentorship with Courtney. And the biggest thing I could tell you guys is always be putting out content of some kind. I know a lot of people just throw that out there, but this is stuff like you're stuffing an envelope that you're going to send to a seller. You're in the car driving around looking at houses. You see a really ugly one, you just put it on your Facebook, Instagram story, something like that. You know, it can be you're on an appointment walking a house, whatever it may be, right? But the difference between me putting out content and anybody else putting out content is I have 2,000 investors, wholesalers, agents, people in my market in real estate watching those. And I completely didn't even realize what I had done by adding those people as friends. But what I had done was in January, I put a post out beginning of the year talking about what I wanted to do for 2020. And it was a post around building private lending, getting funding from individuals to fund my flips. And I put a post out there saying, hey, you know, I'm looking to bring on some strategic partnerships in 2020. You know, something around the lines of be my private lender, right? I had close to 30 people reach out to me. 5 of them I actually knew. Everyone had been seeing my content and all these videos and photos and everything for a full year. up until that point. And just everybody knew I was doing the business and just wanted to work with me. So that's tip number one, guys. It is funny enough, if you're brand new, even, you know, if you have been doing it for a while, it takes some time, but you go in and add these people as friends. You know, if you're really close with your Facebook and you love having only your friends, you know, your personal friends on there, that's one thing. But I'm telling you, it has paid dividends with me, at least, you know, kind of getting that connection and people in my market that are doing the business, seeing what I do on a regular basis. So that's tip number one. You know,
and Andrew, I can kind of like, I struggle with that because I think I currently still only have 800 friends on Facebook, and I've had close to 5,000 requests. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's one of
with
those
you.
things where I've always struggled because it's like social media, I just, in this day and age. So the question becomes, do you, for business sake, do you use it as a platform? And that's literally kind of where I've been at.
Yeah.
And I've started ramping up my Instagram some for, you know, more real estate. I've started talking more about real estate on my Instagram because I honestly don't talk about my actual deals. Like I was telling you, I was at that house. We literally just bought another house that we're going to be doing as a lease option. You know, I don't really talk about some of my deals a lot on social media. I'm like, because I've kind of just been like, oh no, that's like, that's a hard hurdle to get over. But
I gotta give you a wrist slap there.
But I'll tell you that, but like I know that there's power in it because I've bought 3 or 4 houses off of social media. And I'm not even like always talking about it. Like,
I'm with you.
I know there's power in it.
There is, especially when you incentivize people to send you referrals. And that's what I want to kind of talk about next. I will literally pay someone $1,000 if they send me a referral that I close on. If you're an agent, hey, that might be illegal in your state. Be careful.
Well, there's ways that you can there's ways that you can find ways to do it well. Like in Louisiana, we've gotten with the Louisiana Real Estate Commission on how we can pay agents or, you know, things like that, to where there's a way to do it. You just have to understand how can you do it that's protecting all parties involved. So keep that in mind wherever you're at when it comes to a licensed individual. And if you're not licensed yourself, if one's licensed, one's not, there's a Discord there. But there's, like in Louisiana, like I said, we went straight to the commission and we found out what we needed to do.
You know, so if you're an agent, tread lightly. But for me, that has been my absolute bread and butter. And as far as social media goes, Courtney, I leverage the heck out of it for absolutely everything. Everything. Every single time I'm at the closing table, every single time I'm at an appointment, I'm not only making these little short videos, but every time I'm saying, guys, send me an address. It's so easy. I'll pay you $1,000 if I buy it. What are you doing? You know? So it's leveraging every single little opportunity where you're doing some asset or some form of real estate to broadcast that call to action of send me something. I will pay you. It takes 10 seconds. You're driving in your car every day, right? You know, a big thing as well, and we tell our mentorship students this, it's when you're starting a business, this is very simple, but ask yourself, have you made a post announcing what you're doing? You know, when I came back from my trip from Asia, it was so hard for me to do this, but, you know, I put out this long post about, you know, I'm starting a real estate investment firm. You know, I am going to donate, and I'll talk to a little bit more about this, but donate 10% of all my profits to charity, and sometimes to the charity of the seller's choice. You know, really just put it all out there. Like, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm doing now. And especially if you're brand new, guys, it does something inside you where it goes from you doing this all by yourself to now everybody you know, at least on social media, knows that you're starting a business. And it makes you, it's this law of attraction that it makes you go out and hustle. It makes you really dive deep into this business because everybody knows, right? Everybody in your life now knows that you're doing this. And every time you see them, they're going to ask you about it. So it's a very simple thing, but especially for people that are just starting out. And if you haven't done it as an investor, absolutely do it. Just something along the lines of, guys, I'm buying houses cash. I'm looking for these types of properties. There is gold just sitting under your fingertips in your network. And, that's really what leads me into my next point. I've developed a circle of influence. It's a big part of real estate agent training, to really leverage your local community. And, at this point, I have a list of about 500 or so people that they know me, I know them, we're not best friends. Some of the people on it are really good friends with me, but this circle of influence is intended to, it's kind of like, I use it as a monthly newsletter that I send out. And so when you're building this list of, call it 200 people, guys, doesn't have to be gigantic, but we're getting emails, we're getting phone numbers, we're getting whatever we can to stay in touch with these people. Every single month, I go in and shoot a big email out to all these people saying, hey guys, here's the deals we did last month. I paid this person $1,000. I paid this person $1,000 for the referrals they sent me. This month, I am looking for an inherited property. This month, I am looking for a fire damage property. Whatever I come up with, right? Like September 1st. This month was a fire damage property, right? So I have this constant contact with people that I am front of mind. I am continually being front of mind with these people. And those are the majority of people that I get my referrals from. A little side note, I've actually made a little web form where, that's connected to my CRM system, where if somebody sends me something, I started getting all these referrals from all over the place, Instagram, Facebook, text, over the phone. So I sent them made this little web page where they could go in and fill it all out. It goes straight to my team of cold callers. I've trained them how to skip trace those referral leads. They call them on the spot. So it's a very efficient system to be able to keep track of these people and keep everything organized kind of as I go. But yeah, I mean, the circle of influence for me has truly been the lifeblood of my business. If you're not doing it, I'm telling you, you're missing out, guys. And once you do that, you're going to notice a certain sector of people that really take it seriously, and they go after it for you. And these are the people that you really want to work with. And we're going to call these people your bird dogs, right? This is just a Mississippi term for somebody that is actively helping you find deals. Shout out to Brent and Adam for that one. So I have a list of about 40 bird dogs of people, and this doesn't even really have to be people that you know. This is every single time I am in an Uber or a Lyft, I am telling that person, listen, I'll pay you $1,000 if you just write down an address, send it to me. These are landscapers, police officers, firefighters, mailmen, people walking their dog, anybody. I know a few of our students, I haven't done this yet, but they've, you can make a little card to hand out to people that say, hey, I'm looking for this type of house. But guys, I have one bird dog that I have closed 7 deals from. And it was actually an old seller. It's a really long story, so I'll cut it short, but I literally ran in front of a demolition crane for this guy when I had his house under contract and had it assigned to a buyer, and saved his house from demolition. And you want to talk about somebody that loves me? It's absolutely nuts. He sends me probably, at least 5 a month that are all really solid, just torn up houses, stuff on the door. But really, when you're building this list of, I would recommend doing 30 people. It doesn't, it's not going to happen in one day, but build out that list of bird dogs. And then there's going to be 1 or 2 that are really, really solid, like seller A, we'll call them.
Well, I think there's a huge thing when you start making allies, right? That seller, I can't tell you how many times I've gotten referrals from sellers because I'm not just being transactional with people. And these are some really big keys, like nuggets here, you guys, is whenever, you know, at the end of the day, any of this stuff can work if you just put in the consistency with it. But like, so many people are so transactional. Let me just do this transaction, be done with you, make my money here and be done, right? But when you start creating allies, like what you did with that seller. So the house that we just bought, we bought it in 3 days. And whenever we bought it in 3 days, on Tuesday, we talked to the guy. And then, we finally got in touch. We stopped the foreclosure. In order to stop the foreclosure, we had to close on it by Friday. So from Tuesday, I think we got the contract at like almost midnight that Tuesday, and then we closed Friday at lunch. And out of the, we're still dealing. We bought this house like 3 weeks ago. We're still talking with the seller. And one of the biggest things was he called us, he said, I need a big stack of your cards. Because he's like, I know other people who are like me, because he's a self-employed guy. He's got a network of other business owners, and he knows other people who are struggling, and things like that. But when you create an ally of someone who's like, I want to keep you in mind. I know that you helped me. I want to keep you in the back of my pocket as a, like a resource for other people. Creating allies, whether it's someone you do business with or not, that's a huge part of, one of the ways we get business is when, we become a resource for other people. And you do that by not being transactional with the people you interact with. It's be engaged in those moments. Like the thing you did for that guy, there's a lot of times where people are just like, well, hey, how can I make a quick buck on this stuff?
Completely. Yeah. I could write a book on that deal. It was something else. But you nailed it, Courtney. After doing this for a while, what I've realized is there truly is a place in this business for genuine people that are going to be honest with sellers, be there and be honest with buyers. And I'm extremely upfront with all repair costs, everything that I do. But that really helps you stand out, because wholesaling especially gets a really bad name for the people that, really don't know what they're doing, and they go out and get something under contract from somebody that's in pre-foreclosure or something like that, and they can't sell the contract and then buy the house is foreclosed, So having, especially your relationships with your cash buyers, it's a very special thing to have people reaching out to you for deals. And you can really only accomplish that by proving to others that you're an honest person. And, as far as the social media goes, Courtney, like you can have some fun with it. Early on, I think about 3 months in, I had the idea to come up with what I call the ugly house contest, which is essentially, I just got in front of the camera while I was in the car, in front of a really ugly house. And was just like, hey guys, I'm rolling out a 2-week long contest. It's called the Ugly House Contest. All you have to do to enter is send me a picture of an ugly house, send me the address, and then I'll post each entry as they come. And, at the end, the winner I'll Venmo them $50 or something like that. I'll give you a $50 gift card, right? So the first time I did it, I probably got 40 entries, and it's just a super easy, fun way to just start getting some easy driving for dollars leads that you don't even have to really do. And then to keep it engaging and keep it fun, as it went, every single time somebody would send me a picture of this house, I would post it on my Instagram or Facebook and say, this person just sent me this. They're now in the lead. Who can beat them? It would just be a day by day thing. And then make a big deal if whoever won it, whatever. So sure, not exactly a free lead there, but it's $50. And, Matt had a good question as far as paying people for leads. I think of it as I'm not paying them for leads. My buyer is paying them for the leads. Nothing is coming out of my pocket. So that's just the way I see it. Anybody can take that how they want. I count them as free. Let's see. And, I would say, Courtney, probably my biggest thing to date as far as the secret to my networking business has been leveraging other wholesalers. And what I mean by that is I hold myself accountable to go on 3 to 5 breakfast, lunches, dinners a week with cash buyers to build a better relationship with them, with real estate agents, particularly new ones that are just getting in and looking, for maybe a cash buyer or somebody to work with because they got nobody, property management company owners, and then especially new wholesalers, guys. Here's why. Once you start doing all these things, once you add all the friends, once you start putting out some content, people will start reaching out to you. I guarantee you a ton of people will reach out to Courtney. And a lot of them are new wholesalers just saying, hey, I'm looking to get going. Can you help me? And I'm the guy that says, absolutely, I'll buy you lunch tomorrow. And they're like, oh my gosh. So I'll sit these people down at lunch. I tell them everything. I hold absolutely nothing back. I tell them everything I'm doing in the same market. I'm basically creating competition, as most people would think, but really I'm creating collaboration. And here's why. I tell them the list I'm calling. I tell them about the deals I'm doing, what I have under contract, who are some good buyers to work with, whatever it may be. And essentially I get these people so fired up that they go out and find something. Now, a lot of people, and guys, I know this has been very wholesaling focused, but in the wholesaling business, you can do something called a JV deal, which is basically where you do a joint venture agreement and split the deal with somebody. You partner up to split the deal. Now, what usually happens to most people is a wholesaler will reach out and say, hey, Courtney, I got this deal under contract. Could you help me sell it? Now, Courtney had no part of dealing with the seller in the beginning, wasn't able to help with the numbers on the deal. Typically, when someone reaches out to have you help sell a contract, it's a bad deal, just flat out, right? So by taking these people to lunch and getting them excited, they go find a lead, a little sweet baby lead, and they bring it to me and they say, hey, I got an opportunity. What do you think? What I have done right there is basically created an acquisitions manager, somebody that I can send on this appointment, tell them what to offer, tell how to offer it, tell them to take 60 pictures, send me the pictures so I can come up with the repair cost, and tell them what to offer and how to pitch it. And, sometimes I'll get on the phone and with the seller, build rapport and make the offer myself. But at the end of the day, I'll split these deals with those people. Typically, I actually take a higher percentage because I end up doing most of the work. As far as the contract, selling it, doing inspections, bringing it to the closing table, stuff like that. But at the beginning, for most of these wholesalers, guys, they just want somebody to work with. They just want to get a deal done. And looking back, if I had somebody offer me, 40% of a deal, that they would hold my hand and go do this whole deal for them and just wanted to learn, I would do it all day, guys. So at any given point, I have around 8 to 10 wholesalers essentially working for me, right? And they don't even know it. And they are perfectly happy to go out and learn and make some money in the process. I do it every week, guys. I hold myself accountable to those numbers, 3 to 5 a week. You got to eat, right? So, I'm not taking busy hours out of my day. But I'd say that's been truly the key to my networking success, is that one tip right there is taking new wholesalers and property management companies to lunch.
I think collaboration is huge, because what do you get? You get, whenever you say, oh, well, everyone else is doing it, I'm not going to share anything with Andrew because he's in the same market as I am, and he's just going to take business away. Look, there are more properties that need to be bought by investors in an entire community, that we're not going to a swimming pool with a 5-gallon bucket. We're going to an ocean with a 5-gallon bucket. So I see that stuff all the time. And I'm like, trust me.
Amen.
I've got, 6 people who work with us, and trust me, we can't even get to a fraction of it. Right.
Exactly.
But that collaboration is huge, because what does it do? Yes, you don't get 100% of the proceeds, but it multiplies your efforts. I've got multiple people who've come to me and they're like, hey, because my blood, one of the reasons I started the REIA was because my blood boils at the amount of people who've spent anywhere from $30,000 to $100,000 on one of those weekend seminars about learning how to do this business, and then they never did a deal. And like, you know, it's like highway robbery, right? And so many people, they go and they'll spend a ton of money to go learn about the business, but they never really find how do you put the, you know, how does the rubber meet the road? And a lot of times, you know, whenever I want to learn a new strategy, we're in the middle of learning a new strategy right now. What did we do? We found an experienced investor and we said, we'll do a lot of the legwork and we'll bring him in and we're cutting him into the deal, right? Because there's one of those things, it's like, usually when you go for like an education, you have to pay. You're going to get paid to learn, and it's hands-on, on-the-job training, which is huge. And so if you guys are new wholesalers, find someone in your market who you know without a shadow of a doubt, not the person who's talking about, the person you know who's doing it, and go say, hey, look, you know, can I get some on-the-job training? And find someone who's not, you know, afraid of collaborating, because, you know, but that is huge because it doubles your efforts.
Yeah. It
absolutely doubles your efforts. And so now talk to me about, I mean, that right there is free leads, because it's not costing you anything. Okay, maybe you go to lunch and you pay either for their lunch or your own lunch, but what if it doesn't result in that? You know what I mean? Like, and even then, I can't tell you, I actually just went and had dinner with someone the other night in this similar situation. They forked out some money for those weekend courses, and they're like, you know, we've been trying to do this business for a year. I said, look, let's go on some appointments together. Let's figure this out, right? And so I think that this can apply for whether you're new or experienced.
Yes.
Because it's one of those things where, hey, how can you, maybe it's not necessarily that you need consistent leads. Maybe you just need help converting the ones you have because you're new.
Exactly. It goes both ways. And
Absolutely.
some, you know, it's kind of one of those things as well, just with referrals, being free somewhat, it's ask yourself this: does everyone I know what I do? The answer is probably no, right? And that is a problem, because this business, whether any aspect of real estate investing, can be pretty simple on paper, but it's certainly not easy. You know, I think one of the keys to my success has been working really smart and hard. But, you know, nowadays, y'all, it's been such an awesome relief as far as my life, just leveraging my network, going to every single REIA meeting. Congrats to all you being on this. You know, it's the hard work I put in up front of truly letting everyone know what I do. Like, you know, again, guys, I'm young. I changed my Instagram name to Andrew Buys Houses Cash. And I tell you what, I got made fun of so much by all my friends. And I think one of my favorite things ever was I had, you know, a girl that went to, she was in my 9th grade high school class with me. Then she left and went somewhere else. And we're friends on Instagram, and she moved back to Columbia. I have no idea what she's doing. And she followed me on Instagram, and she reached out to me one day and was like, hey, my coworker, you know, I see you buy houses and everything. My coworker has this house he just inherited, blah, blah, blah. You know, he wants to sell it, get rid of it. It needs a lot of work. Went on the appointment, got under contract, sold the deal, made $15,000. So I took that check and went and showed all my friends and said, that's why Andrew Buys Houses Cash was born right there, guys. Like, it's taking the extra step and pushing yourself to really get out of your comfort zone and let everybody know that you're an agent, you're, you know, a CPA, Bob, you're, you know, like Casey, a buy and hold person, you're a flipper, and then leveraging every little moment to broadcast what you do and do some type of call to action to bring business towards you. It's being open to share and have an abundance mindset and don't hold anything back. And more importantly, you know, Courtney, it's kind of like two things I really want to focus on today is the referrals, and then as well, it's keeping your business extremely simple, at the same time. I just feel like that's so important. Like, you can outrun your happiness when you own your own business in a heartbeat. And that's what I did when I brought on all those VAs and I overcomplicated my business and I over leveraged myself and I was paying all this money every month. Just being able now to have all my lead generation outsourced. For me, what my week looks like now, I go on 4 or 5 really qualified appointments, maybe. That's 1 appointment a day. I don't even have to look and leads come in. I'll be honest, I play golf every morning and it's been the greatest thing ever, guys. And I think that when you really look at it, if you've just started or been doing it for a while, guys, just think back to why we started this business. It's really just to build a life that makes you happy, right? And that's the only thing that I've focused on. I think a huge thing for everyone to do is really ask yourself, why am I doing this? And what will it take to build the life that I really want? And for me, I want to make 25 to 30 grand a month net. I'm totally fine with that. I'm not trying to build some huge wholesaling empire or flipping empire. I'm not. I'm trying to basically avoid stress, and stress stresses me out, right? I mean, bottom line, focus on the important things, which is really just having quality conversations with buyers and sellers and any type of clients that you have, and mainly your circle of influence. And then I think one of the problems with real estate investing nowadays is every podcast, every video you watch, every book you read, they're broadcasting some shiny object, some new system that you gotta have, some crazy stuff here and there. And don't fall into the trap of overcomplicating your business by spending money on all these different things. Figure out what you want, focus on that, and really just try and keep it simple and just network your butt off, and just try to be a good person at the end of the day. I feel like that just had to be stated, because get this and so much pressure to create an empire, and they feel like that's the only way to be successful. You need to have 500 rentals. You need to do 10 wholesale deals a month. You need to flip 30 houses a year. Hey, if you want to do that, great. I've found what I want to do, which is 25, 30 grand a month. I don't care how many deals it takes to get there. And that's where I'm going to be. I want to buy 5 rentals a year and just keep stacking them. And that's kind of my plan. And it took me a while to really figure out what I wanted. But once I did, and once I kind of achieved where I want to be, at least right now, I've really been loving life. So the future for me looks like playing more golf and going on surf trips and taking my woman on great vacations and doing deals in the process.
Tell me this, Andrew, when you go play golf, are you doing with other real estate people, or are you doing with just friends?
Absolutely, I am. Oh my gosh. I took 2 of the biggest developers in Colombia golfing the other day, and it was absolutely fantastic.
Did you know them beforehand, or did you seek them out?
I had my real estate agent and I have been trying to kind of get to know these guys for a while. And so we kind of tag teamed them. I reached out to one, he reached out to the other, set the time. I ended up joining like a little country club in Colombia, and it was awesome. I play with other wholesalers. I have so many private lending options at this little club I'm at. I leverage the heck out of it, and it's all on the company dime. So you get a nice little write off.
Well, but here's the thing is, it's one, find a way. There's ways that you can do this stuff where not only can you build lifestyle, so you're not feeling like you're grinding, hustling, because I think so many people that's what they hear is, I just need to go grind and hustle. Like, I get it. But like, at the same time, it's like, don't do this all for 40 years. When I'm done and I'll get to enjoy the lifestyle. No, go ahead and build in that lifestyle, but do it in a way that's smart. That's working smart right there, because I'm telling you, the conversations you can have out there, I don't even know, on the greens, I don't know what you call it. But
Fairways and
you know what I
greens,
mean?
hopefully. Yep.
But hey, look, it's one of those things where that's smart. So let's go ahead and let's start taking some of these questions.
Let's do it.
I'm going to start going through. If you guys got a question, go down in the chat section. I want to thank Angie for sharing, but one of the things is, so there are multiple key nuggets that he shared. So one of the things he shared was figuring out what you're doing with your social media and leveraging it. Look, if people don't know what you do, I can't tell you how many family members, guys, they don't know what I'm doing. Like if you were to send an email, this is a great practice. If you were to send an email to 10 people from different circles in your life, maybe some of it's family, maybe it's some old people from school, some people from church, sports, this hobby, this thing, just different spheres, right? Send them an email, say, this is really crazy, and I'm really just trying to do this little self-development thing, but can you tell me what I do for a living? And almost half the time people are, I don't know, something with real estate. That's not going to cut it, right? Because first of all, sometimes people think I'm a realtor or whatever. I'm like, no, I don't help people buy and sell homes. I can connect you with one, but same thing for all of you. I don't care if you're a landlord. I don't care if you're a flipper. I don't care if you're a real estate specific CPA. I don't care if you do X, Y, Z. If people don't really understand, and if they're defaulting to some generalization, they don't know. They don't know. So that's a really good way. So I'm going back through here. So Casey earlier asked, you said, did your cold callers do this? Did you say your cold callers do the skip tracing?
So Casey, they do only for the referrals that come in. So again, I send the person a web form, they fill out the referral form, it goes straight to my Podio CRM system. It pops up in front of my cold callers. I usually send them a text, say, hey guys, new referral in. We use a free skip tracing service called Fast People Search. And they go in and pull up the address, match the homeowner. A lot of times when you get a referral, it's just an address, but they call the first homeowner on there. Usually there's 3 to 5 numbers. They call through all those numbers, and then I actually have them call at least one family member. So Fast People Search has
FastPeopleSearch.com.
Yeah.
Is that what it is?
It's free. It's easy. That's it. Fast People Search. And so yeah, they go and call them. They report back to me. They update the CRM if the person wants to sell or not, and then we kind of take it from there.
Let's break this down real quick. This is something that I've had to learn is if you just are pitting out, here's one of the things is try to not put yourself in a position where you're always putting out fires. And one way you can do that is building repeatable systems with stuff. So one thing you guys may have missed is he has a input for referrals. So it's like almost like a lead intake. Like I'm sure it's like a link. I know exactly what it is, but basically think about for your business, is there a thing that you can send where if someone's trying to say, send you either, I don't know about you guys, but my Instagram, my Facebook, my text, my email, my whatever is inundated with people like different conversations. And so then you lose it. You're like, hey, wait, where was I having that conversation when this person told me about such and such? Have a centralized location where people can send you a referral and make it easy for them. Don't ask them 10,000 questions. You know what I mean? Make it easy for them. But what it does is it can build it into your system. Mm-hmm. I don't care if that's a Google, they've got the surveys on Google's survey thing. Even if you don't you can do that. And I don't care what you do. Just have a generalized, a repeatable system on how to bring in referrals. And this could be from, look, all the people who, do waiter or, whatever. Maybe you're a realtor and you're telling you'll say, hey, if you send me all the for sale by owners, and if I get a deal out of it, I'll, I'll get you a gift card somewhere. I don't know what you guys can do as realtors, but something like that, right? But where can they all send it in so you don't have 100 text messages all over the place that you're trying to stuff will slip through the cracks at that point.
You nailed it. And keep people updated on the progress.
Yeah, that does help too, because it doesn't, and that's more being that's not being transactional. When you're transactional, it is, got it, or you're not even responding to the thing, but you're like being more relational with them.
Keep them posted.
Bob says, how are you? He asked, how are you building Bob, did you get that question answered? I'm looking at you. Okay. Yes.
Awesome, Bob.
All right. So let's see. Casey made a great comment. She said, nice, Andrew. You've already won because you figured out at a young age how to control your time. That's key. Let's see. Beth said, can you elaborate on if your callers use a script and the gist of that? And where are you getting the names and phone numbers for them to call? I know you just shared a little bit on the names and phone number, but can you dive more into that?
Of course. Yeah. I mean, first off, Beth, I'd love to share my exact script with you. If I don't know if I actually put my phone number in there, I'll put it in there again. But anybody that wants it, just shoot me a text and with your email, and I'll shoot you my script. But yeah,
so the very top of the chat has all his contact info.
I don't know if they can see. Here, I'll type it in right now. But let's see. I think up front, I trained really hard for about 2 weeks, and I know we just got a question as far as what happens when you don't have cold callers. Trying to get back to the question. 1 second, guys.
Can you elaborate on if your callers use a script and the gist of that script?
Yeah, it's really simple, Beth. It's, hey, is this Courtney? Yes, Courtney. Hey, Courtney. And listen, Beth, up front, you want to make yourself sound as human as possible, that you are not just cold calling them out of the blue. So I usually fumble my words at the start, right? Hey, is this Courtney? Yes, Courtney. Oh, hey, Courtney. Listen, I'm so sorry to call you out of the blue like this. I don't even know if it's the right number, but my name's Andrew. I'm actually local here in Columbia. I was actually driving around the other day, and I noticed a property over at blah, blah street. And, I was just seeing if you might be interested in selling it. And they'll say yes, no, maybe. I also have a objections handling script that I've typed out that I can send to anybody as well. But they'll really say 4 things: yes, no, maybe. How do you get my number? But that's kind of the premise of the script. I'd really have to send it to you, Beth, to dive in. But let's say we go through a series of questions. Okay, great. You mind if I ask you a few questions about the property? Sure. Okay. Let's see. So how many bedrooms and baths? Kind of get them talking about it. A really good one to ask to get somewhat of a good idea of the repairs is, let's say that you had all the money in the world, and you wanted to make this your dream home. What would you do to it? They'll tell you everything, right? People are usually pretty prideful of homes, and it's a very emotional subject. We always ask about the condition of the roof and the HVAC. What's the age? Are there any issues with the electrical or plumbing? The biggest question, Beth. Oh, Beth, I got you. Do you have any other properties you'd want to sell? We probably 40% of our cold call leads come from that question alone. Because for some reason, every person in America has a random lot that they inherited, or some piece of land or something. Either that, or if it's an investor, they might have a couple others in their portfolio. Beth, you just texted me. I got you. But that's, I'll send you the full script, but it's getting to know the seller, getting to know the property, asking them if they have any other properties to sell. And then my cold callers kind of do a warm transition to me, which is, hey, when's a good time for my manager, Andrew, to reach out to you? He's local, born and raised in Columbia. He'll probably want to meet with you and go see the property. I'll take it from there. Where am I getting the names and the phone numbers? So I subscribe to a service called PropStream. It is $97 a month, but that is my list provider. In South Carolina, there's a big site that a lot of people use called ListSource, which is super popular. It's illegal in South Carolina. I can't use that service. There's no list.
And that's just because of y'all's laws with data and stuff like that. ListSources, I've used it in Louisiana, but it basically just it's pulled from public records. So it just depends on the state's laws of public records.
Mm-hmm. let's see. Yeah, so that's where I get the names. As far as the list that I'm pulling, I have been making an absolute killing off of multifamily lately. I have been wholesaling a ton of it. Probably my last 9 deals have been multifamily. They're bigger spreads, they're great, but if you're just starting off, that can be a little bit overwhelming. I would go after a vacant, absentee owned, so that the seller lives somewhere else. They don't live in the property. Some people do out-of-state owners. I do in-state and out-of-state. Most of the time, that means that this person is a landlord or they inherited the property because they don't live there. I mean, why else would they have it? Vacant, absentee owner with, at least 40% equity in the house. Their mortgage balance is, 40% less than what the house is worth. So I can make a little spread in there. I typically check the box that says non-corporate owned. So most skip tracing services, if anybody knows of one that could skip trace LLCs, please let me know. But typically I just get the mom and pop owners. It has somebody's true name on there. And then as far as getting those phone numbers, Beth, I use a service called Lead Sherpa. I'm planning on switching over to something called Skip Genie. I've got some good referrals from that, from our guys, Brent and Adam in Mississippi. So next list I'm going to pull, I'd use Skip Genie. I'd probably start with that. But yeah, I hope that answers it, and I'll text you over everything.
Beth, I know you're a realtor as well. So I hope this, because I know there's a few realtors on here. Know that what these are, these sites like ListSource, you can go in and you can actually play with some like parameters of like, did they just buy the home or have they owned it for a long time? Yes. Is it a home owned by an LLC, like a corporate one or a trust or something like that? Or is it owned by an individual? Did they get a mortgage? Did they buy with cash? There's all these little parameters you can play with. You can use zip codes. You can do all these things. I know with ListSource, I get down to 3 cents per name, 3 cents per address. But like for realtors, I could tell you right now, and this also applies to investors, is I think that there's going to be a lot of people who are going to hang up their landlord hat, just because all the stuff that's coming and, kind of falling down with COVID, right? And so I think that there's going to be a lot of rental properties that are going to go in the market. If they're single family homes, that's really, really great, depending on if they have a tenant in there, because that can open up and you can be sold. But here's the thing is you can look for, stuff like that. Do they get their taxes to a different address than the property address? That tells you they're not living there. For whatever reason, whether they're a landlord, they inherited the property, it's their second home, whatever. But hopefully that helps for any of you guys who are realtors on here. As far as list, I'm going to say this. There's 2 ways to play the game. And this goes for skip tracing and this goes for pulling data. You can go big and wide, or you can go specialized and niche specific. And so if you're going to go big and wide, you're going to want to go to a site like ListSource where you can buy 1,000 addresses. And then you're going to use a site like Lead Sherpa where you can say, hey, give me a phone number for all 1,000 of these addresses. It's going to cost you money. Or you can do things like, say if you go driving around and you write down houses that you think you want to contact those owners. You make a list of, say, 50 houses. You can go on the tax assessor's site for free. So it was maybe just gas to drive around. You go to the tax assessor's site for free, write down the names and numbers, and then go to, Fast People Search. I've used True People Search as well.com and look up their phone numbers for free. There's ways that you can pay and scale it. And there's ways that, so there's 2 ways you can do it, you guys. So I hope that helps. Let's see. Jenny says, I haven't closed a deal yet, but I have added people to my buyers list. These are investors that she's working with. The thing I worry about is I don't really stay in touch with them in between. I know you mentioned your newsletter, but do you stay in touch with your buyers regularly or just when you have properties?
Most of my best ones are on my Circle of Influence newsletter. But yeah, I mean, that is honestly a fantastic idea, Jenny. Keeping in touch with your buyers is huge. At this point, I don't really have to send out a lot of emails, like buyers list emails. I usually just make a couple phone calls. I got a really good list of, probably have 700 or so buyers, but 20 that I really, really work with. But at the start, I think that is a fantastic idea to group all your buyers, just share something, about what you're doing. And, even if it's not a closed deal or anything, it's, it's just getting maybe to know their criteria a bit more, the type of leads that you're seeing, the type of prices, anything about the local market. I think it's an awesome idea, Jenny, and I'm going to start doing that.
Jenny, I don't really keep in touch with my buyers like electronically so much, I guess you could say. So I run a Facebook group, and you're more than welcome. I don't know if you're in it. It's that Southeast Louisiana Real Estate Investors Group. Let me put down in the thing. So I started a group on Facebook. Hold on, let me see if I can actually type and talk. Probably not. Facebook.com/group/SELA investors. So Southeast Louisiana investors. I made a Facebook group for real estate investors in my region, right? So the Southeast Louisiana. So we've got, and I think it's near 2,000 people in it. And a lot of people in there are people who are on my buyers list. And so what I do is I'll share like whenever they just had the moratorium announced from like the CDC inspired one, I'll take like a reputable news article and I'll share it in there for like current events, right? So all types of current events, I'll share stuff in there, whether it's related to the region or to real estate or to whatever. And then I'll post deals in there. I encourage other people to post deals in there. I encourage people to ask questions in there. So you might not necessarily, so I've got over 1,000 buyers, but like, I really, like Andrew said, I only deal with a small number of them, but there's a way that you can kind of be in front of their mind. And to be honest, as a buyer myself, I have some people who send me newsletters, and it's, if they don't have deals, what is that going to be about? And to be honest, I don't have time to read them. So what happens to them, right? And so you don't want to kind of be the person who's putting out too much content that like people glaze over it. Maybe that's just me, and maybe it's just because I struggle with my email. You know what I mean? Like I struggle staying caught up with my email. But if there's something that we can try to do where it's like those groups can be, I don't know, keeps you in front of them where it's not exactly asking them to do something. Does that make sense? Like, and it's kind of like, hey, I just want to keep you guys informed.
Yep.
So, Matt has a question. He says, Andrew, if you're just beginning and don't have people to call for you, how do you start finding the leads?
Great question, Matt. And I feel like I've done a poor job of really explaining. I know I talked about what my life looks like now and how easygoing it is and everything, but man, Matt, at the beginning, I worked my butt off, man. Like the mentality for me was, it was actually wholesale or die. And I'm not even kidding. Like I wanted it so bad, man. So bad. So up front, I just want you to know, like, it wasn't always golf and surf. It was working till 1 a.m. and studying, waking up at 6 and studying every day and grinding. So I just want to preface that, man. It's not all, it didn't start with this great situation. But in the beginning, I'll just tell you what I did. I went out and I went to Hobby Lobby. I don't know if y'all have those in Louisiana, but I went and bought 400 of those just blank poster boards. And so I started putting out bandit signs. I would handwrite them and say, Andrew buys houses, cash, my IG handle, but, and then put a Google Voice number. And here's a little hack for bandit signs. You can get a Google Voice number and pay, I think it's $10 to change the last 4 digits of your phone number to 2274, which translates to cash. So on my signs, it was 803-710 cash. And in the big sea of bandit signs where everybody has all these complicated numbers, mine's right there. It's big, white. It just it's easy. They'll remember that number. So I had inbound phone calls that way, Matt. So at the start, you kind of want to have two different types of marketing. You want to have a passive source of marketing, which is where leads come to you, and then an active source. So bandit signs at the start were my active source. And again, I only had $250 a month to spend. My outbound source, my active source, was me getting in the car, going out and finding at least 50 driving for dollars leads a week. So these are any type of distressed houses that I could see, find. I had a big map in my house of kind of a dialed-in area of, the zip codes I targeted in Columbia, and I would cross off different neighborhoods as I went and just try to hammer everything as I went. I would go back home and I skip traced those by hand, like one by one, every single one. And it took forever. Spend the money on skip tracing. Please don't do that to yourself. But, Matt, I'd recommend driving for dollars. It would help get to know your area. And, I ended up subscribing to Deal Machine, which is an app where you can, it's really cool. It GPS tracks you where you're driving around. It's $50 a month, but totally worth it. You're able to, take a picture of a property that when you're driving, click one button and it'll send the person a postcard with my little message. Is this your property? And then it has the picture of it. I'm looking to buy it, blah, blah, blah. It has a little picture of my face at the bottom, everything like that. Another one that's a lot cheaper is Land Glide. If you download Land Glide, you can pin properties. And the biggest benefit to you, Matt, I think, would be the ability to export all the driving for dollars leads that you put in there. So you export those, it goes straight into a Microsoft Excel, and then you could copy that and put it into your skip tracing service and call those. And Matt, here's another thing, man. It's really hard to hire anybody until you've mastered what you're going to hire somebody for, right? So for 5-6 months straight, I was the one cold calling. I was doing it all myself to where I know exactly what to say when anybody says anything on the phone with me now. I can train somebody very comfortably and hire somebody for that role because I mastered it. When it comes to the referrals, Matt, add everybody on Facebook. It's going to totally screw up your Facebook. You're not going to know a single person in your newsfeed. Do it. Just sacrifice it, and then just start putting out content of you doing those drive for dollars, putting out bandit signs at night. Just keep it entertaining, and people in your market will start gravitating towards you, and you're going to start getting this kind of, I know we had a bit of a situation with the free leads, but you'll start getting those leads in. But that's my advice, man. It was not always sunshine and rainbows.
So here's one of those things, Matt, I'll recommend this. I started off flipping, but my first wholesale deal came from me getting in my truck and driving around. And my first deal that I closed on was within a few blocks from my house. So it's not like you have to go drive miles and miles and miles away. I put in the comment section, the chat section, All Trails is an app. It's meant for tracking your trails whenever you hike. It's free. Some of the things Andrew's saying is great for getting to where you can repeat the system and things like Deal Machine, you can export it into Excel and you can use it. But also know that there is a day for humble beginnings. So for example, I'm not encouraging any of, if you're brand new and you hey, I'm not trying to get, I'm not trying to build a huge budget that I have to operate within. I just need to figure out how do I get these deals done with little to no money involved. So what I did was I drove around, and I'm old school. I took a pen and paper and I wrote down the house. I wrote down the address as best as I could. And if it looked vacant, I'm talking meter pooled, looked like it was gutted, whatever, I'm going to put a special note by it. Or if it had notices pinned on the window of the house, I wrote down notices because I'm thinking maybe there's a foreclosure about to happen or something, right? So there's special notes like that. So I went driving around. I went into the neighborhoods I know people would want to buy in. And so I made notes. Now what sucked is I then had a notebook full of addresses that were not going to get off that notebook page and start turning themselves into money for me, right? So there is some benefit of technology. So that All Trails, what it does is it'll map wherever you go up and down the streets of a neighborhood, and you can save it as a trip. And so you'll know when was the last date that you drove up and down, and made sure it can tell if you went up and down all of the streets. So let's say I went through like a common neighborhood, like we're buying in a neighborhood in Slidell called Lake Village right now. And we just bought in there. So if I were to drive up and down every one of those streets, there's some that's easy to miss, right? But I can say, let's say I did it to this month, right? September. Well, back in so let's say in like March, I want to do it again. I can, because now I know it's been a little while, right? So you can do stuff like that. There are ways you can go about doing this for free with little to no money out of pocket. Now, eventually, here's the thing about free. One, it's if you have money, you can generally scale up kind of what you want to do. In the sense of what I mean by scale is you can go buy a list of addresses, because in exchange for your money, your money, you're going to hire someone else to go do the stuff that takes time, right? I can go get 1,000 addresses. It's just going to take me a while to go drive around the neighborhoods, right? But in exchange for money, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and pay for a list. So understand, there's a time when you want to take your hustle and say, hey, I can do this just using my time and my energy, and I don't have to put out a lot of money, or I don't have to put out any money at all. Or what you can do is you can go ahead and say, eventually it makes sense to start using your money to take back some of your time. But there's plenty of ways that you can do this for free. My first deal came from driving for dollars. And apart from the 50 cents that it took me to mail her something in the mail, it was the first contact, I sent something in the mail. It was the first letter I sent in the mail. The woman called me and it was a deal. So I didn't have to mail her 4 times. I didn't have to pay to skip trace or anything like that. All I did was I went to the assessor's site. I found a house driving down the street that looked like it'd been really neglected for a while. And I went to the assessor's site, found the address, and then sent them something in a letter in the mail that was really simple. Hey, my name's, Courtney, I'm a local investor in the area. Have you considered, would you even consider maybe potentially selling your house on, 123 Main Street? And the woman called me and said, I've got some stuff going on in life, and yes, I want to buy. I want to sell. So hopefully that's helpful. There are some level of things here you can do free. And here's one of those things is, here's the dichotomy, the double-edged sword of free. Sometimes because it's free, no one does it. Hold on, let me say this. Sometimes when it's free, everyone will do it because it's low-hanging fruit and they don't have to spend money. Like posting on Craigslist that we buy houses, so like that. Or, posting in the Facebook buy-sell trade groups, hey, we buy houses, fast cash, all this stuff, right? But everyone does it because they're not having to spend money for it, right? But then there's also some things that because you don't have to spend money and because they're free, people just don't really do it because there's not a level of commitment on their end. Sometimes when you spend the money, you get invested into it, right? And you follow through and you do it. But sometimes, I tell you, look, I've had some phenomenal speakers on these webinars, and sometimes I can't get people to show up for nothing. And I've got people like Steve Trang, I've got, Andrew, but like having these people, and it's sometimes it can be hard to get people, to show up. And part of it is, I think it's a level because it's free, right? If someone maybe, and I'm not saying this is me starting to charge for these things, but I'm just saying sometimes whenever you pay for something, you have a little bit more commitment. Like if you paid for some of these addresses, maybe there'd be more commitment to get them to convert to something. Does that make kind of sense? Like the two-edged sword side of free, sometimes just because it's free, everyone's doing it. Then also because it's free, some people just don't give it the effort. All right, let's see. All right, so I know some of you guys are running because you need to, but what I will do is know that this is being recorded. Darren had a great opencorporates.com. You can search LLCs. Let's see, Andrew's phone number is in the chat. If you guys want to follow him on Instagram, I follow people because I want to learn how they're sharing content. And plus I want that content in my life. So I'm reminded.
I think Jenny had a question. Getting a fee for referring properties to realtors that aren't good wholesale deals. That's a fun one, Jenny. Courtney, you want me to take that one real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Jenny, so that's kind of another fine line there, my friend. It's most of the agents in the chat will shake a finger at that and say agents aren't allowed to pay unlicensed people. However, I have a few that like to leave a little money in the garage for me, if you know what I mean. And it's a two-way street with agents. You know, if you're trying to build a relationship with a really good one, just give them a great referral and ask for nothing. You know, but yeah, I mean, I have some retail leads that'll come through and the owner's pretty reasonable at what they want, but it's not a good wholesale deal. It's not a good flip, not a good rental. I will tee up my agent to a T. I know that didn't make much sense, but to where I am hyping him up. I am telling the seller exactly what she needs to do. This is your guy. I'm not your guy, but listen, you know, Safri will take care of you. He'll get that sold. He sold all the flips that we've done full price within a week, which is true. But you know, the relationship I have with him, we play a lot of golf together and he'll lose a $1,000, $2,000 bet. We'll just call it that. Right. So yeah, I do typically get a payment from it. But it's kind of one of those things.
So I'll kind of talk to it. We actually built the whole system with it, Jenny. So we've got a sliding scale. It is, so I forget, it's like if the property is between $0 to $50,000. And what we do is we actually have, so this goes a part of being an authority in the area. We deal with a lot of brokerages and doing trainings. And so I wanted to make sure that we had a foolproof way that we could work with agents, and that they could, you know, we could get paid, they could get paid, and it be above reproach, because if we're going to be dealing with them. So, so we have, like, if we were to pay an agent, like maybe an agent sent something our way that's just not a good retail lead, there's a way that they can pay us. I mean, we can pay them for sending something to us. Generally speaking, we're going to call that generally like a consulting fee on their end. And if it's an agent, we always deal with their broker. We're not just dealing with rogue agents, because we don't want any bad blood, or make sure we're doing it right. And then if we are, if they send us something and we close on it, just like the bird dog concept. So generally we'll call that a consulting situation, and they'll get a consulting fee. Now here, when you're talking about for retail leads, we do a ton of marketing, and my staff, they have a narrating script that basically in like 3 or 4 places says, sounds like this is such a great property. You know, we've already explained to them that we're local investors, that we're looking to buy at a discount. Sounds like such a great property. You know, why do you, have you tried listing with the agent? What we're trying to do is they ask a few different key points in the script, because we're trying to figure out who's a good fit for us and who's not. And there's a lot of people who are not the right fit for us. So we're going to point them to an agent, because it's not a good service for us. And it's one of those things when we're wanting to be helpers and not agglers in the community. Look, if you don't need to sell, like the running joke is, if you don't need me, you don't want me showing up. Like, because when I show up, it's you're facing foreclosure, someone just passed away, this isn't that, right? So if you don't need me, please don't use me. I want to help you still. And so sometimes it's, look, I know everyone knows a realtor, and you maybe have a cousin or a friend from high school. And here's the thing, is not all realtors are created equal. And so what we tell them is, as local professionals in the industry, I'll let you know who I use, or I can recommend who someone we can refer you to, just something like that. Sometimes they'll just say, hey, well, I don't know anyone, or they'll say, hey, I know someone, but look, I usually make the joke that, yeah, I know someone too. And it's, I've got a family member who's a realtor. I just want to reserve the right to be able to still fire someone, right? And I don't want Thanksgiving to be awkward, right? Like, whatever that looks like. And so what we do is what I'll ask them, I said, is it okay if I have someone on my team, whether it's this broker, this agent, to contact you? Is it okay if I have them contact you? I ask that specifically. And then once they say yes, then what I do is I go to that, we have a thread that will send the information, the owner's name, the phone number, the address, the whole situation scenario, and we'll tag the agent that we have for that specific situation. We've got like a handful of different ones for different scenarios. And we'll say, hey, this is a lead. They're expecting your phone call. And then we pass it off to them. Because here's the thing, if you just give them their information, there's two things. One, they're probably never going to call them, and then, or they're going to forget, whatever. And then secondly, they may not know the leads coming from you. This way, we know all the leads that are going to, our referral sources. And then let's say that agent, we send it to them, and if they work the transaction, I know just in the past, like, quarter, one of the agents on who works with us has closed like she's gotten 7 things under contract, and as they close, what she'll do is she'll tell us, and what we do is we've got it's as a marketing fee, and it's based off a sliding scale on what the property sells for, because it's way different if it's a $50,000 lot versus if it's a $300,000 house. And here's one of the things is we say, you're not going to get a marketing fee from us if this stuff doesn't pan out, because we want to send you good stuff. But if it pans out, send us on closing day and we'll send you an invoice. And so I have a whole separate LLC that's a marketing and consulting company. This is just what I did in Louisiana, kind of stay above reproach. That company will send them an invoice based off of the sales price, and they'll pay that company. And so just a marketing fee. And so, and so it kind of just depends. And here's one of those things is those relationships, again, it's specific agents and brokers for a specific reason. Like some of them are really good with land. So we have one for land, stuff like that. One who's a discounted service because we deal with people who have little, they need to squeeze as much as they can and they can't afford the full commission because maybe they're facing foreclosure or they don't have a lot of equity. Just like if that's the route, then we're going to send them with this person. Does that kind of help? All right, you guys, we're not going to have Andrew much longer. If you guys have any questions, let's see. Angie says, I'm using PropStream, but I'm running out of data to pull. Any recommendation of where else to pull volume? And so I asked a call, for her to further clarify. And she said, I've heard that ListSource only updates every 6 months. How do you compensate? Okay. Hey, real quick, Angie, did you get your question answered as far as data? Is it, cause it's one of those things where it is, have you mailed everyone in your market or are you out of people to market to?
It seems, I can only pull so many absentee owners, vacant properties, high equity list, being, in a small, Jackson's, it's not that big, but it's not that small. And half the time the properties are already bought on PropStream. I don't know how often. I read that they update their data once a month. I don't know if that's true, but I'm just trying to pull volume for my VA. But I want it needs to be accurate. I don't want to skip trace 1,000 a week.
Try Propelio.com.
Okay.
It is a competitor.
Calling, Angie? Is she calling for you?
She is, Andrew, but I just had to cut her off from cold calling. I had to stop. It wasn't working. I was losing business. It's people in Mississippi are very small-minded and they are not receptive to anyone with an accent calling.
Girl, you need a good old Southern accent.
I've got to, and that's what, Courtney, go ahead. But Propelio?
Propelio.com, they're a competitor to PropStream. They're about $97 a month, but there's like a 14-day trial. You can pull, I think it's 5,000 leads a day on Propelio. Yeah, my friend Dan owns that company, and they provide, and you can, they provide a lot for the fee. But, and you said, how do you compensate cold callers that are local? People are, okay. Here's one of those things. Andrew's got local guys. What does it look like saying, hey, bring in people along, bring some people along who are He's done internship stuff before, but like you're doing it just compensation. Look, here's the thing is I don't cold call. We don't really do that. But we have brought people on commission based, and sometimes it's people who are interested in real estate or people who have done real estate stuff. It's just going to depend. Cold calling's not, it's kind of hard because not everyone's, you need a good fit for cold calling, you know, personality wise. But Andrew, how'd you find these guys that you have?
I put a post out on Facebook. One of the property management companies that refers me a lot of their tired landlords reached out and said, hey, we have this intern. He's been cold calling tenants for the past 6 months, trying to get our tenants filled, or not really cold calling, just talking to them and placing tenants. And I know he's looking for extra work. So I reached out to him, ended up talking, his name's John, got John to bring in his friend Nick. But Angie, as far as a payment structure, commission only, I pay them 15% of the deal for their first deal of the quarter. And then I go up to 17.5 and then 20%. And then it kind of repeats quarterly. So it's all about incentivizing these people. It's all about, they're in sales. They're not in real estate. They're, you know, our product is houses. And it's making that very clear to them that this is a sales role. It's, you know, the more numbers they call, the better chance that they're going to, you know, make some good money. I mean, my guy John is making $9,000 this month. He's flipping out. But as far as a target, like who's a good fit, it's people right out of school, college. Like cold calling is not easy. It's an inside sales job, right? And you don't want to overwhelm these people with making them call 8 hours a day. I couldn't even throw up just thinking about it. I stick with 3 hours a day, put them on a dialer. They're having conversations a lot. It's not, they're sitting there waiting, you know, and then 4 days a week. So, you know, they're doing 12 hours a week. You know, it's nothing crazy. The college kid can handle that. And also, Angie, going is like a stay-at-home mom, somebody that's, you know, stuck with COVID and needs some extra work, or somebody that lost their job and just wants some extra money, you know?
Okay, so you said that you'll do 15% on the first quarter, 17 on the second quarter.
Second deal, like first deal of that quarter. So quarter one, let's say January, February, March. We do a deal in February from John. He gets 15%, then it goes up to 17.5%, and then 20%. So the more deals he gets, the better his commission structure is, right? And then
what do you base that? What do you base that commission on? Let's just say if you
the net, your net, right? Not gross.
Okay. I do the gross fee. I'm not greedy. I pay them the full bit. I know a lot of people do that, but again, I like to take care of them. I want them to make good money. I don't mind paying them extra. I want them to be happy, and they respect me for it. I don't even know if they know the other option that I could be doing a net, but that's just how I've been rolling, and it's been good, and they're happy, and they want to keep working for me. And John's on his way to being an acquisitions manager for me and replacing me in that role potentially.
Yeah.
And you know, another thing too is just making it fun for them. I'll throw in like monthly incentives where, like this month, September, is first person to get a deal, John or Nick. Nick is obsessed with Jordan shoes. Like he loves shoes. He's like a style junkie. John that saved up and bought a BMW a while ago. He's obsessed with cars. So first one to get a deal this month, Nick gets a $300 pair of shoes. John gets a $300 car part. So I'm paying, I'm buying John like some exhaust vent for a BMW. I don't care.
But here's the thing is when you align yourself with their goals, I found that early on, you can collaborate really well with people, and you can motivate people if you align yourself with what their goals are. Not just give random goals, but like, and incentives and stuff. But like, I don't know, back in the day.
Like? Yeah.
Yeah. What do they like? And like, what are the things that would fuel them? Because I mean, we've done some pretty crazy stuff, and we've gone to extreme levels for things that we like, right, in our own lives. and it's one of those things where, so you give a little bit more effort if that's something that you want and that you like, you know what I mean? Like, so it's tailored and it's aligned to their goals.
Agreed.
Makes sense. This might be a question for Bob. What were you going to say, Andrew?
I was just going to say, you got my number. We can, if you want to explore this business model, I've recorded every single training I've done with these guys. Everything's recorded. So like I could help you get that going.
Yeah. How would, I don't know if this would be a question for Bob, but how do we compensate those people? Does it need to be set up in a separate LLC?
Bob's probably going to hit me with the W-2, but I 1099 them.
Well, yeah, if they're, Bob, do you want to?
I'd love to hear Bob on this one.
Yeah, Bob, what do you think?
It depends on the amount that, if they're in business for themselves, you know, you can pay them with the 1099. You just have.
I couldn't hear.
You
Bob
need to
kinda
have
broke up.
It broke
There you
up
go.
just a little bit, Bob.
So you need to have if you can pay them as a 1099 or a W-2 employee, but most people do 1099s. It depends on the volume that you have with them, and if they consider themselves in business for themselves. If you pay them as a 1099, the first thing you want to have is make sure you have an independent contractor agreement. You can download something simple from the internet, and you just have their payment or their compensation structure in there and how they get paid. If they want to set up an LLC, then pay them through an LLC. I don't like giving out my social security number, so I have an LLC for everything. I just give out even when I go to the doctors, like, what's your social security number? They get an LLC EIN number. It's like, they don't care.
Well, I mean, wouldn't that be the smartest thing to do, though, is set up a separate entity, a separate LLC to pay those guys out of, and that's the way it keeps all the rest of the other things that you're doing separate.
Well, then you
got paperwork.
It just
Can't hear.
depends. If you don't have any income coming in that LLC, then what do you write? Person you're paying LLC, because now your LLC is paying another LLC. You're still going to issue a 1099 to them, but now it's one business working with another business. It gets questioned a lot less. And the individual that gets paid, it also depends. You know, as long as they're aware of it and they know that they're getting paid as an independent contractor, it's usually not a problem. There's benefits for doing that because they can write off a lot more expenses. If other than, you know, they can't write off anything if you pay them as a W-2 employee, but they can write off their mileage. They can write off all sorts of stuff. So it is a big
that's a little bit
benefit
of
to be in
teaching and
business for
training to
yourself.
them. Like if they're just used to be down W-2s, well, like what Bob's talking about, it's really huge because if you've got to kind of train their mindset of like, hey, this is me not paying you as a W-2 if you're 1099, but hey, let me tell you the good things with it, right? Like you can write off, you know, hey, you need to buy a Mac, you know, a laptop so you can, you know, work off of your laptop. Well, you can deduct it, right?
Right.
Like a business write-off. Well, good stuff, you guys. Any last questions for Andrew as we start to finish up here? You guys have asked some great questions. If you got any more, please put them in the chat below or forever hold your peace. No, you can always just comment or message Andrew. He's kindly given his contact info. So if you did not get his contact info and you want it, make sure you scroll up and you find it and you take it down real quick.
Put it again.
There you go. Well, look, you guys, let's see. Yep, Andrew just put his email at andrew@bowencapitalhomes.com. And you can see his phone number down below. Look, you guys, so this has all been recorded. I am going to upload it to YouTube when I get in the office tomorrow morning. You guys are welcome to, if you want to watch it again, if you didn't catch the whole thing, anything along those lines. Thank you guys for tuning in. Stay tuned to Northshore Real Estate Investors Association. If you guys heard in the beginning, we might be doing some dinners, some networking stuff like that. So, but Andrew, man, brother, thank you for sharing. It was a pleasure having you on and getting to hear from you, even though you have that country boy internet connection level.
I know.
A few times it was like, you know, but
I
it's
hate
okay.
to hear that. God.
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't that bad. But
Okay, good.
you just got to pick on you because you're, South Carolina. But
So bad.
well, look, man, I look forward to seeing you at the end of this month. You're going to go to the mastermind event.
I am a groomsman in a wedding that weekend. I'm bummed.
Bummer, but here's the thing, you guys. I want to leave you with something. Networking. I met Andrew through networking, and we're talking about we've got an event that we're supposed to be attending at the end of this month in Orange Beach or Gulf Shores. I don't even know. I just need to make sure I show up at the right place. But because that can be a problem for me sometimes.
Yes.
But I can tell you this: networking has gotten me into some fantastic opportunities that I don't think I would have gotten otherwise if I wasn't networking. So many people see networking as a chore, but I'm telling you guys, it is worth your effort to network, to tell people about what you do, and network and collaborate with other people. There's a level of revenue that I have in my business that is based off of networking with other people, collaborating with other people. And so here's going to be my plea. Don't put it on the low end of your totem pole. Okay. I know that I'm a little bit biased as someone who runs, like a real estate investor group. I did it selfishly. I started this selfishly because I want to network with other people. Okay. So don't put it down low on the totem pole, because understand that there's opportunities out there. There are people that you could meet. There's business partners you could meet from networking. And so, Andrew, my man, thank you so much. I know it's an hour ahead for you, but I hope you get some good sleep, everyone. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next time. Okay, y'all have a great night.
Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, guys.